for Piaget in education, he wanted to take a constructivist approach. So you want to facilitate direct learning instead of just doing things for the kids or instead of just lecturing at them. You want to have them go out and try to do things and figure things out on their own. Facilitating. At least with in-person classes, I do this a lot. We will have a lot of in-person discussions where you will discuss things with your peers. And I think that definitely there's a lot of positives to doing that type of learning compared to what they call direct instruction, where it's just a professor that just rambles on and on. These are video lectures, so these are obviously direct instruction. But again, yeah, if we were in an in-person class, we would do more discussion-based class. According to Piaget, children learn best when they are active and seeking solutions for themselves. Again, facilitate rather than the direct learning. You want to design situations where the student is able to learn by doing something. And when you're doing this, you want to consider the children's level of thinking. You know, some kids are going to be brighter than others, and so you need to adjust it for the individual student. Teachers, they need to interpret what a student is saying and respond in a way that's not too far removed from that student's level. You want to examine the kids' mistakes and thinking and then try to guide them to the next higher level of understanding. In one of the earlier videos, I talked about Leif. He's doing these 12-piece puzzles now. He doesn't always get it right on the first time. Every once in a while now, he'll put a couple together. It's like, well, that's clearly not right. I'm watching him. Sometimes I'll just let him go and see if he'll figure it out for himself. And if it goes on for too long, I'll say, are you sure those two go together? And usually he'll take them apart and he'll try to figure it out. For some reason, he'll take the corner pieces and put them together. So it's right in the middle. It's like, well, that's not going to work. I try to let him figure it out on his own, though, and I let him look at it and try to get it. But it's like, if it gets to a point where it feels like he's moving backwards, then I will just kind of try to give him a nudge. What I don't do, and this would be like direct instruction and not facilitating, is I would take them apart and put them in the right place and go, this is where they go. I mean, you could do that, but I think that going along with Piaget, who agreed with this, is that you want to kind of nudge them in the right direction so that they can figure it out on their own, and then they will learn cognitive abilities in childhood that hopefully they'll be able to take into adulthood. You want to guide them. You want to help them. You don't want to just do it for them. Also, according to Piaget, so he thought that children should kind of move from these stages naturally, and you shouldn't be pressured into making them achieve too much too early before they're actually ready to do it. So a lot of Americans, they'll be like, okay, what can I do to make my kid brighter right now and to get this puzzle done? Piaget, who was French, by the way, he called this an American question, that according to him, some of development should occur naturally and without a lot of pressure about it. And so there's things you can do to maybe facilitate things happening more naturally, like Montessori. This is an example. We'll talk about it in one of the later chapters. It's the type of school where kids are a little bit more independent and they get to kind of explore the environment and they get to choose their own activities. That's more of a constructivist type approach than a direct instruction. And that also with the Montessori, the teachers observe what the students are interested in and try to help them, guide them to do more of that, the things that they're interested in. Predetermined assignments, they don't use those as much. They want to see where your interests are and try to create activities based off of those interests. We'll talk a little bit more on the education stuff with Vygotsky. To wrap up the Piaget on evaluating him, obviously made a lot of contributions to developmental psychology. We had the assimilation, the accommodation, object permanence, egocentrism, conservation, all kinds of things. And psychologists today do owe him for his vision of how children interact with their environment, the idea of constructivist teaching and thinking, and it's, created all kinds of research. And then again, the criticisms, some cognitive abilities probably emerge earlier than Piaget had suggested, and that maybe the formal operation stage, maybe not everybody gets there. The many adults are not formal operational thinkers. Again, think of social media, the things that you see on there, the posts that you see, do those seem like they're following a systematic critical thinking type of thought process? Probably not in a lot of cases. Children can be trained. Piaget wasn't real big on training, but children probably can be trained to reason at a slightly higher cognitive level. And something else that's going to be a factor that maybe you didn't talk too much about is that culture and education are going to exert, the environment, are going to exert a strong influence on where a child is going to go with their development. The more contemporary researchers that are adherents to Piaget's theories argue for a more emphasis on how children use attention, memory, and strategies to process information. So that's where they're moving with that type of research. That's Piaget. Next set of slides, we'll get into Vygotsky.